When I first got into tarot, I thought it as a tool to predict the future, but now honestly, I see it as a tool to see myself more wholly, to see me as a complete being of both shadow and light. I think this tool has taught me so much about myself and humanity and all the spectrum of existence in general. I do feel tarot is much deeper than we actually believe it is. It has also given me a means to connect with the spiritual world. I believe there's such a huge difference from the David before tarot, though I was a child. I started tarot when I was 13. But I do feel that I have seen the world completely different. Also, when I began my studies and started really working with it every day in 2020, I do feel that as a human being, I have shifted and changed. I think that my philosophy in life has gone through a big transformation thanks to this tool. And yes, it could be seen as a means to predict the future and to look forward into our lives or other people's lives, but it has also deepened my connection with the spirits around me. It became a way for me to contact them, to have conversations with them, to understand my own spiritual path and the path of witchcraft and magic in a more deep and meaningful way. And as my brand and as an individual, tarot is so important because it became a guiding light for both my own personal life, but also as a way to illuminate the path of others. For the ones who don't know me, my name is David. I appear in social media as Camino el Ermitaño, which is still in Spanish because I used to create content in Spanish and now I'm creating content in English. Welcome to my channel. Here we explore all things magical and esoteric while I take you on my day-to-day life in Granada, Spain. So today the topic is, how does tarot actually work? We're going to look at the ways I've learned tarot and how its meaning has shifted in my own personal practice and how I see tarot and how it has worked in my life. At least in this video, I probably would not be quoting much books. Maybe I might at some point. But for now, it's just going to be a look into my own personal way of seeing how it works. And after 15 years of practicing tarot, how it has shifted and also how it has transformed my life and how it really changes you as a person. And right now, I have to go downtown. It is extremely hot. Summer has not started, but we're reaching 35 to 36 degrees Celsius, so that's going to be something exciting for me. You guys will probably see me break a sweat today. I need to go buy some things, and then I'll probably sit at a park and have more conversation with you guys. So let's go. I feel like there is this contrast that we can find on the internet of tarot as a tool for self-reflection versus a tool for fortune telling or divination, which is how people normally see it and how we regularly see people use it. I, for example, on my lives tend to fortune tell, or we do really focus on the future, and what people ask for the most are things of the future. This does not mean that it's not a tool that lets us see that, but I always like to tell people that the future's not written in stone, at least in my point of view or how I see the world. I do not see the future as, as how the cards say it, and it is what it is. I feel that the cards say, right now, you're walking down this path, and this is the outcome of this path, right? It's more like a reflection of our decisions more than, fortune telling, because we can shift that path. And I like to remind people of that so that they don't feel that things are set in stone. We can change perspectives, we can change point of views, we can change the way we think about things and the actions that we take, and that will obviously change the end goal. When we peek into the future, I do not like to see it as fortune telling. I just like to see it as like the hermit, has his lantern and he's like guiding a path, but the light only shines up to a certain point. I like to spin the questions in a way that makes us think more. For example, what lesson am I learning in this path? What is the lesson that I'm supposed to be learning in this path? Or, questions in that sense of like, how can I take advantage of the current situation I am living in or the current circumstances that I am going through? I feel like that sets our mind to be more flexible, more open to the lesson, because I feel that every circumstance, every situation, no matter how dark or heavy it could feel, it really talks about a lesson that we are learning, and sometimes the tarot will get very dark, and just because it's getting dark, it shouldn't be a reason to stray away from it, because I know, for example, in my process, that would definitely happen, where when I would get dark readings or just very dark cards, I'm like, I get kind of scared of it, and then when like dark things are happening, I just prefer not to take them out. But I personally use the tarot almost daily as like a daily draw card to self-reflect. For example, today I got the Devil, and the Devil really talks about that shadow aspect of ourselves that could be attached to cycles, to people, to circumstances, to materialism, right? To like owning things and having things and wanting to obtain things, and know that that desire, it's just an illusion. It makes us think that once we have that thing, once we obtain it, we will be happy. Once we have that relationship, once that person has fallen for us, even if they're not good for us, even if they're not giving back in the same way, all those illusions that we create, which are the devil, that temptation to fall into these cycles of materialism, which I do not neglect the importance of this material reality, but I do feel that we fall for the illusions of the materiality. And I do too. I mean, I got that card today, so definitely I have a toxic cycle that needs to be recognized, and I am recognizing it. That card is just an example of how we can use the tarot for self-reflection. It really made me notice toxic traits. I definitely do like to think of tarot as a language. I think that is the best way we can think of tarot, because first of all, tarot is filled with all this hermetic knowledge and wisdom, and they are just so deep in meaning. The tarot is so profound, and today, 15 years later of using tarot, I have not even scratched the surface. And anyways, back to the main topic, which is it's a language. For example, if we get the Lovers and then we get the Five of Pentacles, it's very different, the order in which we get the cards. If, for example, we first get the Five of Pentacles and then the Lovers, it's kind of saying that, in the first option, which is the Lovers, then the Five of Pentacles, it's like we might make a decision from a place of lack, and a decision that we would later recognize that took us down a path of scarcity. The other way around is we're in a state of scarcity, but we have to make a decision to change that or to shift our mindset from that place. It's a language in the sense that how we organize our words and the punctuation and the symbols, they really do change the outcome or the meaning in total. It is definitely a language that we start learning. And that's why when we start learning a language, we are really... Oh my God, that bird though. It's like an alarm. I wonder if it's telling me something. Should I go? Stop if I'm supposed to go. You're just singing then. Okay, it's just singing. Finally, it is a language in that sense that it has its own structures, its own rules, Its past, its present, and its future. And I feel that it's better not to rush it. Just like when you're learning a language, how do you learn a language? By immersing yourself in it, by listening to it, by practicing it, by writing it. That is, writing down your readings and reflecting upon them. And by watching other people talk about tarot, by watching other people read tarot. Obviously, find yourself good tarot readers on the internet. I feel that YouTube, people try to put a big, more effort into the content they create more than on the other platforms. I used to watch people do tarot readings on YouTube, and seeing them how they would weave the meaning of the cards, like this plus this plus this, it's telling me this. That is, I feel like, the hardest part, which is, weaving the cards together to give us that meaningful answer. And that's how I like to see tarot, as a language. We will always see people mention the Fool's Journey, which I'm not going to go in depth into because I think this video will be long enough. But the Fool's Journey is just like the archetypical journey of a hero, which we do see it reflected upon the major arcana, obviously enriched with more deep, meaningful, esoteric knowledge. Like the Fool being like that essential being, that soul energy, that kind of like divine force that pushes us forward. And him transitioning through all the processes of childhood, teenager, being confronted with society, being confronted with loss and change and transformation, corruption. We go through all these phases, love and falling out of love, finding ourselves again, and then losing ourselves to then finally reach the World card, bringing together all that knowledge that we have acquired through that narrative of the hero, which we are the heroes of our story, and finally reaching that climax of just surrender, but from a place of wisdom. It does have a psychological aspect, which could be studied because of the archetypes, and there are many books on this and many people that talk about this. I'm not a psychologist, so I'm not really going to go in depth into that, but it does talk about, our psyche. But I also believe that it's energetic. I do believe it reads off our own energetic field. I do believe that it is a means to contact the spirit world and to get a read off the energy through these cards, because it's just like such a clear system where we can really establish communication, because they're images. When you see those images, and they're so rich in information. So I do feel that it has like that energy side to it, and it helps us read the energy of both ourselves, other people, or circumstances, and look at the superficial aspect and also the deep, meaningful side to every circumstance or situation. And with that, I do feel that the intention that we walk into a tarot reading completely shapes the tarot reading. If our intention is just to know about a certain specific topic, we're going to get a specific certain answer. If we go into the reading seeking meaningful, profound answers and questions of life, then we will probably also get those deep and meaningful, answers. So that's why it's so important, like when we make questions to the tarot, it's very important how we organize the question. Because like, for example, in my live readings, I talk about that people make a lot of questions from a place of scarcity, as in like, will I ever get this? Or will I ever meet the love of my life? And it's like, that's coming from a place of scarcity. And the tarot will read on that, because that's the question. That is the compass that we're using for the reading. That's the world that we're building upon it. So it's going to give us an answer kind of related to that, So it's going to talk from a place of scarcity. While if we do, organize our questions, for example, how can I step into a mindset of love and connection with others? It's going to give a different answer, It's definitely a very different vibe. So it's very important how we do, the intention we have when we come to the tarot, because that will reflect the answers. That will reflect the information that we're getting. This is so long, guys. So, I think people that see me on social media might expect me to be extremely woo woo. And well, I would say I am pretty woo woo. But honestly, I have a Virgo mind. So I think I'm very down to earth and realistic about things. And even when I began with my tarot practice, there was a very big part of me that was very skeptical and doubted it. Like a part of me wanted to believe it, but then a part of me was like, is this even real? I just felt a bit unreal how some random cards, taken out at random had such insightful meanings. And then I just thought about, it must be something psychological. It might talk about, our mind and our psyche. So that's how I kind of started when I was a teen, and I would do readings for my friends. Then they would always message me or tell me then oh my God, how did you know this? This happened exactly as you said it would. But mostly I would tell them things that they had not told me before, or that I didn't know it was happening to them. That repetitive process of seeing how the cards could look so deeply within other people's lives without me knowing, that's when I just started believing it. And honestly, I'm still shocked. To this day, I still get very surprised when they message me or when I'm doing live readings. And oh my God, sorry, there's just a bunch of ants here. I still get very shocked when I'm doing readings on live and they're and they tell me, oh my God, yes, this is resonating with me so much. This is exactly what I'm going through. To this day, I'm still very shocked and I'm very surprised. But I honestly feel that that is the magical part. And it's always good to have some good level of skepticism when we are practicing these things. It's still good to stay grounded in this material reality, even if it's just, doing a little hike and being in nature and just enjoying the beauties of the natural and material realm. Look at this beautiful little shell I found. I think I might keep it. I think it's a gift from nature. I'm gonna put it right here, right next to the camera, so I don't forget. Hopefully I don't forget. How do we deal with the fear of getting negative cards? Honestly, it's only through experience and realizing that cards aren't exactly negative or positive. They both have that duality to them. They can both represent something positive and negative. And just in a way, I also try to not take life so serious. I try, though today actually has been quite a hard day. I don't know why I've been so stuck in my head today. But anyways, for example, yesterday I drew the Devil card, which seems to be a very dark card. But then, it manifested in its other forms, like maybe not positive habits or overindulging. I had such a big lunch and I'm like, this is very devilish of me, having this huge lunch, unnecessarily big. We just have to not take ourselves so serious. And if there is a constant message of something negative or that we may seem as negative, I don't know, it's so hard. Honestly, when I would get those messages, I would even, be scared of the cards and have some distance with them. But that just, means that there is something that we don't want to accept about ourselves. There is something we don't want to look within ourselves that is bothering us. And we really can't pressure ourselves to change that. I think it's part of the process to ignore it until it's too big to ignore, until the shadow grows, because the more we ignore it, the more we feed into it, and it just keeps growing and growing. So I just think about that, if I just keep ignoring this any longer, it's gonna grow so big that I probably won't be able to manage it that easy later on. So I might as well take the message and see how I can transform that. But it's easier said than done. Why do people see tarot as something evil? I think people do see tarot as something evil, obviously due to Christianity or the major religions that have always pushed aside other people that have different practices that help them connect with divinity or with a bigger power. So I think that, in this process, there was just like, these witch hunts where it wasn't well seen to have this kind of power, or to see, because it was mostly women, wield a certain type of power and to be able to see beyond our normal perception. So people have like this fear that was like embedded into our culture of people who are different, or people that might have different kind of abilities. And then also Hollywood really created like this big fear surrounding it. I think there was even like a movie called Tarot that was released not many years ago. It was like a scary movie, and then witches are always seen as evil. So I think even if you're not religious, there's just like this fear behind it. And then the fear of knowing, the fear of the unknown. I think that is a very common fear. We will always fear those things that we don't know. And I do think that tarot is a jump into the abyss of the unknown. When we go to the tarot, we never know what to expect, honestly. We don't know what answers are coming, because we're connecting to the energy of chaos, where it's, which is the natural law of the universe. And that's why it rings so true, because tarot vibrates in that frequency of the chaotic, of the unexplicable. But chaos has its own unique order, even if we don't comprehend it, so then we just label it as chaos. And that takes me to the mysteries, and that tarot. Oh my god, that's a lot of fireworks. Let's wait for them to be done. Okay. So, back to the mysteries. Mysteries are things that cannot be explained, but that can only be lived. And I do believe tarot is one of those practices, which is a mystery. And that even here, where I'm trying to explain it and I'm trying to say how it works, I'm just giving my own personal reasons. But, the only way to know is by experiencing it. Going to a good tarot reader, or buying yourself some tarot cards and start practicing and start seeing what messages they have for you. And it's that experience which is unique to everyone. Everyone has a unique experience with tarot and has a unique learning experience. And those are the mysteries, They can never be revealed just by talking about them. They are revealed through practice and experience. If you're starting with tarot, or thinking about starting with tarot, what would be those things that I would tell myself? First, I think to not rush it, that I think we just want to be fluent in it, and we see other people doing tarot readings and just weaving these very powerful messages together. But that won't happen in even years. So take it slow, or maybe you're just a natural at it, and maybe you will just be really good at it. It takes a lot of creativity to weave these messages. It takes a lot of creativity to see deepness within these cards, and creativity is a power that in normal academic world is not seen or really given any importance. And it, really connect with your creativity. Draw, paint, write, find other ways that you can create with your creative energy, and that will probably help you out with tarot. It's not only about learning the meanings by memory or by heart. It's about cultivating this spirit of creativity to weave these messages and connect with our creative power, which is our divine spark. We don't get the answers that we need to hear if we don't weave a good question. Remember that the questions are the compass. It is the intention and the energy that we go into tarot, and it is the compass. So if we have a good working compass, we'll probably find the answers. We'll probably find the path, and it will definitely illuminate the path more clearer, and see if they're coming from a good place and not a place of scarcity. And that is why I always keep coming back to tarot, because it's not just, about telling about the future. It's about growing deep as an individual. It's about expanding my horizons and being very conscious of where I am, and just getting that wisdom to learn to surrender at times, to learn to fight when we need to fight, and to learn to stand up for what we believe in. To end this video, I would like to ask you, are you a tarot reader? Have you gotten into tarot? What has been a lesson that you've gotten either from tarot readers or from your own tarot reading experience? So thank you so much for watching and for being with me in this hot summer day of Corpus Christi here in Granada. I will go investigate what that means. Bye.